Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some big time news for the New Orleans Saints as they get their quarterback in Derek Carr. We will be ripping a 7-round 2023 NFL mock draft. And this is when the mock drafts get fun. When you know what teams are doing and addressing in free agency, that gives you a little bit more of an idea of what they need to do in the 2023 NFL draft. So before we get into it, again, just want to say thank you to you guys. These videos are a blast because I kind of specialize in evaluating these college football prospects as they come into the NFL, and then getting to talk to all the NFL fans of different teams, talking about what you want these teams to look like heading into 2023. I learned a lot from you guys, so I appreciate all the support and engagement you guys have shown. So again, if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. The mock drafts will be picking up as we get closer to draft season. So again, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. We really do appreciate all the support you guys have shown. Let's get into the 7-round mock draft for the New Orleans Saints. Picking 29, that first round picks changed a bunch of hands. This makes it really fun. You know that the Saints have addressed that quarterback position. Now, what are you doing? You're working on building around Derek Carr, giving him some tools for him to be successful for the Saints. And you look around that division, that's not a hard division to win. I think the Saints immediately put themselves as the favorite to win. The roster, I think, is in a pretty good spot. And so at 29, I think you're looking for getting one of the best players in this draft, and that's Nolan Smith. If he's at 29, I would be extremely surprised. Take a look at what Nolan Smith's done. Obviously, back-to-back national champs. He's been a team captain there. Only played in 8 games due to a pectoral injury. You go check out his combine, a 4.39 40 for somebody who's playing edge, weighs in at 239 pounds, jumped 41 inches. This dude is a freak. I don't know what they are doing in Athens, but they just keep turning out athletes that test off the charts. What's special about Nolan Smith is people say 239. You have some questions about can he hold up in the run game. I think he's one of the better edge defenders in this draft class in holding up against the run. He's extremely powerful. He plays with great leverage. Nobody ever gets outside of him. Now, the thing I like the most about him is he was the leader of that Georgia team. You think about all the good players that played for Georgia in 2022 and 2021, Jordan Davis, N'Kobe Dean, Keely Ringo. Nolan Smith was the heartbeat of that defense. He was the leader in the locker room. When he spoke, everyone listened. And that's something that you're not only getting an elite athlete who's proven to play very good football at the college level, you're also getting a guy with no character concerns. He's going to be a plus guy to add in that locker room. Nolan Smith, I think, is a no-brainer pick here for the New Orleans Saints. Then you're picking at 40. This is where I think things get interesting. Deontay Banks still falling. I actually like Deontay Banks a lot. I think Josh Downs could be an interesting selection as well. Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Talk about another guy. I want to take a look, and there's a couple things you could do here. I want to take a look at this cornerback room. I like Paulson Adebo, but this cornerback room, I think, is really good. A guy like Eli Ricks, a guy like Julius Brents, 2 guys that I'm very, very high on. I think it might be a little rich to take them. No, it's not rich though, and this is not a flashy pick for the New Orleans Saints, and I get it. I like some, and I'll preface this with I like some wide receivers later on in this draft, so we will address that position. We're gonna address it later. No, it's not a flashy pick, but it's a damn good pick. John Michael Schmitz, PFF, having John Michael Schmitz at 68th overall prospect is absolutely wild. He's going to be a first-round prospect on my board. He's a dude at Minnesota who's played for a very long time. He's extremely good at multiple things. The best thing I like about him, he's a great athlete. He works with double teams, works up to linebackers extremely well. Blocking in space is his specialty, but he's also very good in pass protection. Like you saw in the Senior Bowl, they had some big dudes go one-on-one with him. He was able to sink his hips and be very, very good and has a strong anchor. The athleticism, the play strength, it's all there for a guy like John Michael Schmitz, and he's a dude that I think you can play center, guard, all 3 of the interior offensive line spots. Don't sleep on John Michael Schmitz. And Saints fans, I get it's not the most flashy pick ever. He is such a good prospect in my mind and clearly worthy. I mean, I'm a Bills fan, and I wouldn't complain one bit if the Bills took him in that first round. Pick 71, and they're just going to do this to me. At Tommy Adebawore from Northwestern, you talk about another one of the freak shows at that edge position. He was another guy, and he's a guy that I think would make a lot of sense to draft. You already drafted Nolan Smith. If you were going purely best player available, I think you'd take Adebawore. He's a dude that doesn't necessarily flash on film, but he tested like 283 pounds. He ran a 1.49 40. Like this dude was cooking. 34-inch arms. He's 6'2", so he has that great build that you like. Um, and also benched 228 reps of 225. Like he's just a massive human of muscle who doesn't flash on the film, but when he went to the Senior Bowl and was able to play out of that Northwestern scheme, that's when he started flashing. I think another interesting pick here is Tank Dell at pick 43. What is the big thing you worry about with Tank Dell? And you go check it out. This will be very obvious. 165 pounds. He is undersized. And there are going to be teams that are just not going to take him. Similarly to teams that aren't going to take Bryce Young because of his size, there are going to be teams that are like, hey, I'm not comfortable. I don't think he can hold up at 165 pounds. If you are a team that's comfortable taking him, you look at the production: 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns in 2021, 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns in 2022. He's not the biggest, and he's honestly not the fastest either. But how this guy wins is elite short area quickness, elite burst off the line of scrimmage. This dude that if you question how he can get off the line of scrimmage against elite physical cornerbacks, people can't touch him. He went to the Senior Bowl, and you saw cornerbacks go to try to put hands on him. He's too good off the line of scrimmage for guys to really get hands on him. And how do NFL wide receivers win at the next level? They don't win with size and speed. They win with separation. Tank Dell's a dude that can separate at a high level. I think you take the risk, especially at pick 71, for a dude that's put top 50 production. He has top 50 traits, and everything points to him being a top 50 prospect besides what the number is on the scale. I think you take a guy like Tank Dell, and if you want to take Tommy Adebawore, I would not argue one bit with that, because Tommy Adebawore and what he did at the combine and what you could project him to be at the next level is absolutely phenomenal. And he's a guy that I also really, really like. It's just we took Nolan Smith. I'm not sure if you want to take two edge guys. All right, pick 115. I think you have to do this. You could go two different ways here. Michael Wilson. These are two guys who are popping off, at least for me right now. Michael Wilson hasn't played a lot for Stanford, but you took Tank Dell. I think you can go with another wide receiver. I don't think it's crazy. I think that wide receiver room is not great, especially with what you're losing in free agency. Michael Wilson is very, very good. But a guy that I can't really ignore is Carl Brooks. Again, he's a top 50 guy comfortably on my board. And he's an interesting cat. You look at where he lined up at Bowling Green. Almost 400 snaps from outside the tackle. The majority of his snaps were either over the tackle or outside the tackle playing that 5 technique. But he's 6'4", 300 pounds. You take a look at that height weight, 6'4", 300 pounds. What gives? He was the best player on Bowling Green, so they were just putting him in spots where he could be the best. Now, pass rush win rate, 23.8%, 49 total pressures. When you watch his film against other MAC teams, he dominated. The question was, is he going to be that same player when he's competing against NFL and top college talent? He goes to the Senior Bowl and looks the part as well. What I think NFL teams are trying to do is find more interior defensive linemen who can create pressure on the quarterback. It's not that hard to find like a 2-gap and nose tackle who can hold up in the run game. What's really rare is to find the guys on the interior who can impact the passer. It's a passing league. Carl Brooks' burst and bend that he showed on the edge, I think will translate very nicely to the inside. I think Carl Brooks would be a no-brainer pick here at pick 115 if teams are concerned about, for some reason, Carl Brooks not translating to the next level coming from the MAC conference. I'm not concerned with it. I saw what he did at the Senior Bowl. This dude has some heavy hands. Pick 148. They really want us to take Michael Wilson here, huh? And I'm not opposed to it. I want to take a look at the cornerback. Cornerback was a position I wanted to address. Jacorian Bennett, he tested extremely well at the combine. If you have a guy like Michael Wilson, Moro Jomo was another guy. If you're looking for an interior defense lineman who's an absolute dog, Moro Jomo would be a guy to go target. I really like Michael Wilson. There's two wide receivers that I want to talk a little bit about. Michael Wilson, Bryce Ford Whedon, two guys who are really, really special. Michael Wilson was injured for a long time, but his size and his body mechanics, if you will, his releases off the line of scrimmage at the Senior Bowl were next to none. And so he's a super smooth mover. And then you got a guy like Bryce Ford Wheaton, who 6'3", 225 pounds, jumped 38 and a half inches, ran a 4.38 40. Like, this dude tested off the charts. And quite frankly, I don't know why people are so low on him to begin with. He was a pretty productive guy, 575 yards, 675 yards back-to-back seasons. He's really good at playing the ball when it's in the air. He's not necessarily a monster after the catch, but I think he showed at the combine that he has the athleticism to do so. And you got a guy like Tank that was 5'10", 165 pounds. Go get a dude who can stretch the field with a 4.38 40, who can go play above the rim at 6'3", 225 pounds. I think that's kind of a perfect fit for the Saints, and you get two really good wide receivers at, in my opinion, really, really good value. Now, the one position I wish we kind of addressed was that running back, and I think we probably missed out on the sweet spot for the running backs. Let's check who we have left on the board at pick 167. Eric Gray. That to me, that's a no-brainer. I'm not comping him to Alvin Kamara, but he has a very similar game in the sense that when he gets to the second level, he's a bigger dude too. You saw a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs comps to Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is like 15 pounds heavier than Jahmyr Gibbs. Eric Gray, much closer to Alvin Kamara's size, and I don't think he's as smooth of an athlete as Alvin Kamara is, but that's what Eric Gray specializes in. When he gets to the second level, he's not running through linebackers. He's making them miss clean. This dude is one of the smoothest running backs in the class. He's actually a top 5 running back on my board. I'm a huge fan of Eric Gray, and he's bigger than he looks on the field, so I think he can hold up if Alvin Kamara is unable to play. But like, I don't get the Mark Ingram, David Johnson. Those guys' legs they're toast. That's part of being a running back is you don't last that long at the next level. I would go and draft a young rookie who can be a workhorse for you, and I think that is exactly what Eric Gray can do. Excuse me. All right, we going 229, 260. This is where you're just trying to find your diamonds in the roughs. Maybe looking at some swing tackles, maybe looking at some interior offensive linemen, maybe even some interior defense linemen. Cornerback, that was the one thing I wish we did a little better. Is I wish I addressed that cornerback room a little bit better than I did. We weren't able to get a cornerback in a really good cornerback class. Taking a look at who's still on the board, like there's just not a guy that's probably worth taking. So probably passing on that, taking a look at some of the best players available. I want to look at this tackle selection, see if there's a guy who could maybe be a swing tackle. Dalton Wagner's an interesting guy. Probably passing on that. Maybe linebacker, see if there's any of my pet cat linebackers still available here. Aubrey Miller, I like from Jackson State. Jeremy Banks is a nice one too. And then let's check the interior defensive line, which we've addressed at maybe tight end too. Davis Allen, Will Mallory. Will Mallory would be an interesting selection, actually. He ran a really fast 40, and he's more of a pass-catching tight end. He plays in that Miami offense that it sucks. Like, it was so bad last year, and if there was a bright spot, it would be Will Mallory. Will Mallory is a guy that probably – I want to take – what tight ends we got in that room right now? We got Juwan Johnson, who's a converted wider. Okay, I've seen enough. Lucas Kroll, he's from Pitt. Taysom Hill, not really tight end. We had a lot of tight ends on the board here. You probably can. I mean, they have a lot of tight ends. Will Mallory is a prospect that I like, but I just think there's a little too many tight ends. I'll go take Trey Dean. Trey Dean's a thumper. He ran a 4.75 40, which is concerning when it comes to special teams and being a gunner, but he's a great tackler. He's got some good instincts. I was really, because when I watched Trey Dean tape, I never thought he was that slow. But 6'3", 207, ran a 4.75. That is concerning. But in the late rounds, you can get a safety. You can come up and tackle. Malik Cunningham's an interesting one too. Like, honestly, if you're looking for a replacement of Taysom Hill, a guy who can run the football, I just don't think Malik Cunningham's as big, and he's not necessarily a guy you want taking too many hits. I mean, that would be kind of an interesting selection. I do like Leonard Taylor a lot as well. Iko Leotu is a nice one. Man, some guys that I like. What do we need here? Allen Ali is a good player. I'll go get Jeremy Banks. Jeremy Banks he's a good athlete. He's kind of I wouldn't say a hyper athlete, but it was a high recruit coming out of school. He's bounced around a little bit, had some trouble. He's another guy that you get Jeremy Banks on the team. I think he'll be a special teamer for you, and he'll make your 53 man. And so we'll go get Jeremy Banks there with the Mr. Relevant pick, I believe. All right, recapping this draft. Nolan Smith B+. I don't get how you give that a B+. Nolan Smith is a top 15 player in this draft. John Michael Schmitz, hey, I get it. PFF is not as high on John Michael Schmitz as I am. Again, as a Bills fan, if the Bills took him at pick 26, 27, I wouldn't complain. Like I think he is a first round talent that is just not a sexy pick. Tank Dell B plus. I like that. My favorite part of this draft is Tank Dell, Bryce Ford Whedon. I think that would be a really fun wide receiver duo to bring into that room. You have the more shifty, smaller guy in Tank Dell, and then you have the bigger speedster on the edge in Bryce Ford Whedon. Eric Gray, I think, was a phenomenal pick as well. I think like what Alvin Kamara does and whether he plays or not, you have some question marks. I think Eric Gray comes in as immediately the best running back outside of Alvin Kamara on that team. And he's a young guy. Trey Dean, Jeremy Banks to close it out. Honestly, very happy with that, how that draft went. More importantly, though, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Again, all the support you guys have shown truly means a lot. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.